leave it at that. I think we've covered enough for today. It's been a long day, but we are kicking off. We're kicking off PWN-D AI, and next month we're gonna kick off business impact analysis of AI, right? And then we're gonna do digital twin in January. Exciting stuff. We're gonna kick it off too.
I can't wait for digital twin, man. Let me tell you. I remember when we first met many moons ago, and you were like, "Hey, Bryan, have you ever heard of digital twin?" I was like, "What's digital twin?" And Asif and I started uncovering the layers of a digital twin. I'm just like, holy cow.
Holy cow.
Everybody in the world needs a digital twin. So I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, that one, Bryan, we got a campaign on filling that roles because we don't have quite the 7 people yet. And it's surprising. Well, not that surprising because people don't know anything about digital twin. They know about AI. But once they find out about digital twin, they're gonna say, what's AI? I just need a digital twin.
Yeah. Digital twin is gonna change and revolutionize cybersecurity as we know. It's really going to impact cybersecurity, and not in a bad way, but it's going to be in a positive way. And companies are already starting to do it. Some companies are already using a digital twin.
Oh yeah, we talked about at the beginning of the show, Bryan. We talked about NVIDIA, $5 trillion company, all digital twin. Apple, don't call it that, but all digital twin.
Right.
Anybody that you think of, metaverse, Web 3.0, Web 3, cryptocurrency, blockchain, digital twin.
Yep.
Digital twin.
Yep.
Again, it gets me so excited. But again, I understand why people haven't signed up for it yet. But hopefully after this video and seeing our excitement about digital twin, people are going to flock in and say, yeah, I want to be part of that seven-man cohort. So we're going to get started, man. Next, once this video goes out to people, we're going to record videos every week, and people are going to learn from this video. If anybody wants to watch those videos without being part of the cohort, it's going to be on YouTube Live. And if you want for us to cover a specific topic, you can give a shout out on the videos, and we'll go make that part of the curriculum. Right? We're going to talk.
Yeah, give them, because the III podcast, give them that. And if they want to write in,
yes,
to request certain projects that maybe we could put on our list for down the road.
Oh yeah. Well, we don't have a shortage of project. We have shortage of personalized projects. So if you have a project that is personal to you, that you want to personalize it, you want to understand it better for yourself, we are here for that.
People change when it's personal. It's like we have our projects, but people something. I always say, I want to know what keeps you up at night. So thank you guys for recognizing that it means something when I say, okay, break it down in layman's terms. Simply because we all need one another. And if we need one another and basic human relationships, if we're not able to communicate with one another, then how are we going to get anything done together?
Absolutely.
AI is not a technical problem. AI is a societal problem. And that's what drives me really forward to deal with non-techies, because non-techies are the one that's going to drive this whole AI situation. Because they're going to invest in it. They're going to drive these requirements. They're going to say, this is what I want people to develop who has technical know-hows in cybersecurity space. So if you have a mindset where you're thinking like, well, if I do this, something's going to break. Well, if you understand what can break and how they break, is by understanding that if somebody probes it, they can break it.
Yeah.
And how are they probing it and how are they breaking it? And what is your responsibility to it is a whole different mindset, right? So that's teaching somebody about defense AI without really getting too technical about it.
Created my own little algorithms to do one thing or another, like disease states, a mortality algorithm, and
I think you will have a whole levels of robotics, the humanoid robots or non-humanoid robots, whatever the case is.
Yeah,
what I mean?
Are like taking the idea of news articles and then being able to like moving at that rate of speed with PWN-D AI. Taking those news articles, if you're able to look at each news article and then take the content that's important to you and relevant to what you're working on, then it's like it's that type of speed versus it being at rest. It's like, okay, I'm acquiring all of this knowledge in order to apply it for what I'm working on.
So the neuroplasticity, what you have just described, is my favorite topic to discuss in business impact analysis because, neuron that fires together wires together. So if you learn about a few fundamentals of AI topics, and this is what I really focus on, is to get everybody, I don't care what you do. If you are a lawyer, legal, paralegal, you are an industrial organizational psychologist, you're a psychologist of children, psychologist, I'm going to give you a few things that you're going to stop seeing it differently. Because those things are going to be in the newspaper every day. But every time you see it, you're going to think of it differently. And then you're going to understand the context of why they're saying those words over and over. There's a very foundational knowledge that you're going to get. But like I said, neuron that fires together wires together.
Yes.
Every time you see it, you're going to build more context on top of that. Because media uses a lot of fundamental knowledge because they expect everybody to have that fundamental knowledge. But because you have that fundamental knowledge, now you're going to start paying attention differently. Yes. You're going to bring your neuroplasticity to it, and the neuron that fires together will wire together. Next thing you know, you're talking about mixture of expertise. You're going to talk about MCPs. You're going to talk about all those things. You're going to say, that's not in our news media, but I'm picking it up because I understand the context behind it.
Absolutely.
Like acronyms that I never even thought about before. Now I'm using those acronyms. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Oh boy, I wish Zach would join and Bryan, but Bryan is on a call. So me and you are here. Let's just kick it off, right?
Okay.
Because today is week 1, right?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about PWN-D-AI, and we're going to go for 9 weeks, and we'll talk more about this 9 weeks. Okay. So I'm going to start off with talking about the fact that first of all, you don't need to be technical to belong here. That we have discussed it plenty of time, but I just want to emphasize that over and over because it's an environment where you can relax, but you can bring the collaborations out of yourself and then become experimental. Ask that question, put that comment out there, right? Mention that thought that you have and say what sort of responses come from that. Because this is a place where you can relax, be collaborative, and not judge yourself, right? Because we don't know everything, but if we know you need to know something, we're going to come out and help. So the first thing you're not going to know anything about is PWN-D-AI.
Yeah.
It's literally PWN-D-AI, PWN-D-AI. Pawn is a term in the hacker industry. So ethical hackers all use the term called pawn to say, I have pawned your website because I broke into it and now I own it, right? But pawn could mean in so many different terminologies, but it comes down to that I understand something and now I own that understanding. So you can use it in multiple ways. But when the hacker says, I pawned you, that means, the hacker has done something bad to you, right?
Like carbon copied you in a way, right? I pawned you. I've taken who you are, right? I've mirrored you.
Yeah. I own you now, right? I own your database. I own your website. I own something, right? But pawn can, you can research that as PWN, and there's a competition called Pawn to Own. Right? So you can think of it from that perspective. But PWN-D-AI is our way of saying pawn defense AI. So you're going to own because you're going to understand first what defense AI means. And then you're going to understand it so much that over time you're going to pawn it, where you're going to have the mindset of, if I have defense AI, now I'm going to be able to learn offensive AI. But in order to be a defense AI, I have to be a good end user, knowledgeable end user, and end user that cares about what's going on in my system or in my network or in my internet, right? So we're going to develop that set of understanding of, hey, look, we can't teach you AI, but we can teach you responsibility for AI.
Yes.
And one of the ways you do that is by making you understand how to defend your AI. When you defend your AI, you defend your device, you defend your data, you defend your network, your internet, right? And if you defend yourself, all of a sudden everybody around you start defending themselves as well. And that's how internet works. Internet works off of, if you're defending yourself, if you're being careful, everybody around you start being careful as well.
Yeah. I like that. I like that because oftentimes, people hear phrases, they're like, I don't know what that is. I don't belong there. I don't, all of the thoughts, right? But when you say defend, defense of your data, defense of your network, defense of your internet, defensive, things that matter to you. That's transformative, because now you're standing up for yourself. You're defending yourself. You're being intentional about your use of the things. I like it.
Yeah. And of course, we're going to learn AI by defending it, but not by fearing it, right? We're not going to fear AI. We're going to get curious about AI. So the reason we get curious is that one of our goals is to compete or demonstrate our mastery end of 2026, preferably with PWN-D-AI or Pawn to Own competition, right? They actually have the PWN-D-AI competition, but again, it's a safe space to explore, fail, learn, and grow. We don't all have to be a subject matter expert to show up in a hackathon, but that's the goal we're working towards, to say, I'm not there yet, but I'm working towards it. But as I'm working towards it, I'm learning not to be fearful of it, but get more curious about it. Because the journey to it, that journey to getting to the point of, joining that competition, it's a rocky path. But if you set your mind to it, you slowly build up to it, right?
Yeah.
And you slowly learn towards it. And he said, now I have a context what I'm working towards. You know what I mean?
I like it. I like that. It gives you courage. And then when you're at the hackathon, you're like, oh my goodness, I remember when I first started learning about this. Beautiful.
You're gonna watch it on TV. It's happening live, and you're gonna say, "Oh my God!"
And then the winnings from it. Not that we do it.
So
walking away saying, "Oh my goodness, I worked on this for 12 months, a bit at a time, and now I've mastered it."
You have mastered it.
There's no greater feeling. I pawned it. There's no greater feeling.
Mr. Bryan Stark, thank you so much for joining, sir. How are you?
Man, I tell you, duty calls, no matter what it is, right?
Indeed.
Duty calls.
Yes, sir. No, I am so thankful for you to join, because you're one of the mentors, right? You're going to be mentoring our cohort as we go through PWN-D-AI. You know what PWN-D-AI reminds me of? These Rihanna songs where she used to say something like in a Jamaican accent, and then you're like thinking pawn or something. Like, I just keep going back to that reference over and over. But PWN-D-AI, Bryan, is, of course, you know about Pawn, which is Pawn to Own. But we're going to do PWN-D-AI, which is Pawn Defense AI. Understand defense AI so much that now you can understand the offensive AI as well, right? So if we teach you 80% of defense, 20% of offensive is just that easy to understand, right?
Absolutely. I 1000% agree.
Yeah.
Which is it was a great concept. It's a great concept.
Yep. PWN-D-AI, because if we're teaching non-techies something, we shouldn't make it about, A, B, C, D, E, F, D, right? And, it's like, it has to be something that they can be really proud of, right? A non-techie that has mastered a term like pawn to own, pawn to AI, PWN-D-AI, right? They should be able to say, like, my God, I never even intended to join a cybersecurity course, but here I am learning how to break into AI and understanding how to stop that breaking in from happening, right? Really want people to be proud of what they're learning through micro learning on a weekly basis, right? They don't have to join 5 weeks long courses, but on a weekly basis, they can learn micro learning nugget size segments, and they can say, wow, over the weeks, I've learned so much. Now I can, confidently speak about AI. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And I think it's important for non-techies. I've always found a joy to teach to non-techies, even though it makes sense that I would gravitate towards techies because I speak tech. But oftentimes when you're speaking tech, even Asif, we don't speak. We had our moment to where we spoke tech, and then I think ever since then it's like, yeah, we both know we're on it. We got it. And then now it's this conversation, right? So now I know not to go to Masako and start talking tech, because Masako look at me and like, can you break that down in layman's terms?
Right. I use the terminology of, being a techie and a non-techie in a room, because my CPA does tax 52 weeks in a year. I do tax maybe 3 weeks in a year, and I have no idea the majority of the time what he's talking about. And I run out of patience because I'm like not exposed to the text terminology throughout the week, right? Throughout the whole 52 weeks in a year. But if I was learning about tax every week, by the time I meet him at the end of the year, I probably will have a little bit more patience for him, right? I will be able to actually say, I can keep up. We're not going to be in a dead silent room for 1 hour because all he does is paperwork that he needs to fill out and I'm over here just signing it away. I can't communicate, and that's frustrating. So I know, I've worked with product managers, project managers, so many non-techies, and that amount of conversation you can have once you know the verbiage, it's mind-blowing, Bryan. I think you all have experienced it, but that's what we've been doing for the last 5 years, focusing on non-techies that needs to understand AI, that needs to understand cybersecurity, that needs to understand these network terminologies beyond just say, I have a laptop and I have a router, right?
You know what's also important with that? So thank you guys for recognizing that it means something when I say, okay, break it down in layman's terms. Simply because we all need one another. And if we need one another and basic human relationships, if we're not able to communicate with one another, then how are we going to get anything done together?
Absolutely.
Yeah, AI is not a technical problem. AI is a societal problem. And that's what drives me really forward to deal with non-techies, because non-techies are the one that's going to drive this whole AI situation. Because they're going to invest in it. They're going to drive these requirements. They're going to say, this is what I want people to develop who has technical know-hows. And just because they have the money and they have the reason to drive it, they shouldn't, because they should have some reservations towards what could go wrong, right? So we really need lots of in-depth conversations with everybody, but especially the non-techies, because there's more non-techies than techies out there.
That's true.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. And we think differently, which is why everyone is needed.
Yeah. Medical industry. Just think about medical industry, period. Right? They think about patients' care, patients' privacy, patients' everything, right? And here we are, techies, just looking at it from a data perspective. We're not humans. We're just looking at bits and zeros and ones, right? We're thinking about, quantum computing. That's not patient care. Patient doesn't even know that exists.
Yeah.
But a doctor, when you talk to a medical field professionals, they really need to know what it is that we know, at least to a level that they feel comfortable, have some clarity on how AI works and what it can do, manage their expectations and so on. So jumping into it, because we're talking about confidence, but resilience, right? How do you build resilience to that? The way we want to be able to have people join us is because they are going to do microlearning. They have no time in their hand to say, I'm going to take some time off and go learn about AI. No, come and join us. You don't have to take time off. You don't have to go away for the mountaintop anytime soon. What you will do is come in and say, okay, foundational level AI, I get it, but complexity of AI, can I personalize it, right? That's the key to resilience. Because Bryan has a different priorities in AI. Masako has different priorities in AI. I totally have another priority in AI. So if all three of us know about foundational AI, that doesn't mean much. Week after week, we can personalize that AI, and that's where the resilience is being built. And that's where we come in, right? Bryan is a subject matter expert. Masako is a subject matter expert. I'm a subject matter expert. When we meet 3 or 4 other people join us, now we're conversating. All of a sudden, you see it how it's being personalized to your need. So if you're in a legal field, you're in a psychology field, you're in a healthcare field, whatever the field you're in, we're going to be able to personalize it for you. And that's how the resilience is built, because now you're taking personal interest and there's a return on investment for you to do microlearning and joining this conversation on a weekly basis, which we call community of practice. And then we're going to build that resilience, right? And then all of a sudden complexity turns into what? Curiosity.
Yeah.
No more fear. Just being curious now, right? Masako is the driver of the resiliency. So, thanks, Masako, for bringing that up to speed.
Sure.
All right. So,
we started, you said we started, we're week 1, Pond Defense AI.
Yeah. I mean, week 1 is just introduction, right?
Right. So, okay. So week 1 is introduction. So
where week 1 is introduction. What we will do is take this video, send it to everybody, and then we will meet offline on a Zoom call, right? And one of the things that we really want to actually bring to the surface is that because we're meeting on a Zoom call, what we will do is invite guests to come and listen in, right? They might not be able to participate because the conversation is going to be between about 7 people, actually. Few mentors, so no more than I would say 2 or 3 mentors. So if there is 7 people that are learning and then there's 3 mentors, what they're going to do is, learn through micro-learning and learn from each other's feedback. And the mentors and coaches are going to be there to say, okay, good, let's personalize it to you now, right? Because you asked for this, how do we personalize it? What do we need in order for you to have it personalized, right? So say, for example, infrastructure-wise, no matter what industry you come from, infrastructure is the same. The doctor uses iPhone, I use iPhone, everybody uses iPhone. Everybody's using TV, everybody's using all the devices that we can think of, no matter what industry you're in. But we can personalize it now, right? So I'll give you an example, like Alzheimer's dementia, right? We looked at the patient care. We said, like, well, what devices do we know and what devices the patient use? All of a sudden, you start drawing the lines. You're like, hold on a second, what can AI do through those devices? Because we think about AI in ChatGPT perspective. Well, what if those devices were like saying, well, I use Siri, and as I'm interacting, does Siri know that I have Alzheimer's dementia? Can Siri do something with that information? Can we tweak that Siri to become more of an edge AI, so that way it's sitting on a patient's room and giving the patients the audio cues that they need in order to do something? Eat healthy. Watch TV for a little bit. Don't just sit there and watch TV the whole day. Take a break, right? So do you see where I'm going with this? Like, you really need to sit through and brainstorm these ideas, because every industry uses a device, but everybody uses it for different purposes, right?
Yes.
So that's the kind of power of, having everybody from different background. So we will have audience listen in, but they're not going to be able to really chime in. The 7 participants, or however many is in the call that day, they'll be able to communicate with each other. We'll communicate. And I think within an hour, people are going to get much more out of this conversation rather than going to school for however many weeks, I would say.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we love this format of learning virtually through group experience, the collaborative way of learning, right? So next topic I want to talk about is that we don't memorize AI, we practice it, right? So we don't have to necessarily practice it through the keyboard, but we're going to practice it through our confidence building through communication, right? Yeah. So if you come in week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, if by week 4 you have more confidence than week 1, we're good. We just made it. Like, rest of it is just cherry on top. You know what I mean? And we've seen that over and over. We've seen it with the IO psychologists that had nothing but understanding of what a monitor is and what a keyboard is. But at the end of the 4 weeks, they were just talking about these things that are like organizational change management for AI. What is a digital twin in AI? Why do we need security and data and algorithm in AI, right? They were able to explain those things, and they saw it from the ranges of, here's a device, there's an electric grid all the way out there, and there's a power source that is the water. I'm talking about from that extent, they were able to understand, where does the power come from for the data center? What does the data center do for AI? And how am I getting that AI to my device? And what's happening in between?
Yeah.
4 weeks.
Exposure.
Exposure. Just a few drawing of the nodes that said, you're a psychologist. How do you understand AI? And for psychologists, it was totally different way of understanding than it would have been for somebody like, say, the legal profession, right? They understood AI completely different. We've had military veterans that sat down talking about startups ideas, right? And they were like, hey, I have a startup idea, but I don't know anything about AI. But I want to do a startup in AI. 4 hours later, they're like, okay, I really know where I have to start because I started here, but now that we've managed the expectation, I can start here and work my way up to here, right? There's always a starting point for sure.
Yeah.
So as we're talking about PWN-D AI, we talked about the fact that we will try to make our mastery level to a level of pawn to own competition, which is happening in Japan in 2026, and it happens every year. So if not 2026, we definitely want to master it up to 2027, right? And we're doing it through micro learning, and then we're going to talk about things like devices that we see all around us all the time. Right? We're not going to talk about something that is hidden from our plain sight, right? We're not going to talk about something that is going to make us super genius about artificial intelligence. What we're trying to achieve is the clarity of understanding and confidence in communication, right? So if you understand it, you pond it. If you can communicate it, that means you're succeeding in your organization. So one of the things that we want to get you to is have enough confidence to ask the right questions. And this you will hear multiple times over and over, where we will say, if I am a non-techie and I'm going through AI literacy program, what's my end goal? Because confidence is not really something that you can keep up with, right? There's no tracking it. But questions you can track. Say, I used to ask these questions, but I ask this question much better now than I did before. So the way you ask questions will change every time. Every time you join us in the conversation, it will change. And then one of the things that we will talk about is how you work with AI rather than use AI, right? That's a shift in mindset. So as you're asking this question, we're shifting the mindset to say, now we're asking, we're working with the AI rather than using the AI. And a huge mindset shift there that we work towards. And we've seen the proof of it for the last 5 years. It really does wonder once you're able to explain artificial intelligence with economical sense and then explain it with some emotional intelligence. The triple EI, right? Triple EI. Masako, you should write a book about that, by the way.
It's so funny. I got all of these ideas of these books. I'd be like making notes. I'm like, I'd be driving. I'm like, oh yeah.
Write a book about that.
Yeah. I was like, I need a literary agent, because just writing these books just for me, it's like, no. I've done that. I got three on the shelves. I'm like, I need a literary agent.
Yeah.
I literally keep telling myself, and this is where I need to educate myself, even as a techie person, but an AI assistant. Like I really am needing an AI assistant. So I think for non-techie people, the communication is to learn AI. Don't be afraid of it. Like you said, it's the curiosity, because there's so much from a non-techie perspective how AI can make your life so simple.
Right.
And you know how people learn? People learn with things that matter to them, like their immediate need, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what motivates people's immediate needs. So if they can think of an immediate need and then realize that nothing is truly immediate, your immediate need is something that you're planning for 3 months, 6 months, so on and so forth, right? So when we're thinking about PWN-D-AI, for 12 months, when we think about, the immediate need, because you don't have the time right now to do anything. You just know what you need to have done in your life, but you don't have the time to do what needs to be done. So how can you take these small fragments of your life that you can dedicate each week to putting a dent into something that means something to you, that when it all accumulates,
that's right,
that it's massive change?
Yeah. Well, the non-techies, this is what the non-techies really are, really important, because they're our end users. Like Bryan's end user is a non-techie. My end user is a non-techie. If I can educate my non-techie, the end user, if I can teach them that I'm working on the defense side of things so they can help me defend it, now that non-techie is my coworker. Now we're working side by side. If I can teach them easy 80% that I understand, and now as the end users, they have that mindset shift, they know defensive AI 80% of it, because it's not really that wide of a spectrum that they're going to protect themselves with. They just have to have some basic fundamental knowledge and build on top of that. Remember, we talked about neurons that fires together, wires together, right? They're going to see that over and over, right? It's kind of like in defense industry, we've seen that blue link. Everybody talks about that blue link that everybody clicks on, and everybody's sort of like, I know what that blue link when I see it. Now they avoid anything that's blue link, even if it's in their Google search. They're like, I'm not going to touch that blue link. But that's not how we are going to approach it. We're going to approach it differently, because we're going to give them the fundamental behind that blue link. So not all blue links are bad, right? So all the links that come to the email, yeah, there's ways to check it, right? There's lots of things that you can do. But that means that what they understand is how to defend themselves. But now PWN-D-AI purpose is to get them to also be offensive AI, right? How does a hacker think of it? Because we're trying to probe it, not break it, right? In cybersecurity space, we're trying to probe it, not break it, because this is not a problem we're trying to fix. There's no solution to cybersecurity attacks. There's no problem in cybersecurity that people need to fix. Cybersecurity is a risk management problem. Sorry, that is not a problem. It's just a straight up acceptance of a risk.
Yeah.
It is risk management.
Risk management, acceptance of a risk. Yep.
Yeah, acceptance of a risk. So there's no problem in cybersecurity space. So if you have a mindset where you're thinking like, well, if I do this, something's going to break. Well, if you understand what can break and how they break, is by understanding that if somebody probes it, they can break it.
Yeah.
And how are they probing it and how are they breaking it and what is your responsibility to it is a whole different mindset, right? So that's teaching somebody about defense AI without really getting so technical about it. And we won't. That's the promise. That's what we've been doing for the last 5 years, and we can do that.
Yeah.
All right. So week 1 to 9, right? There's going to be some break in between the weeks. Of course, we're talking about Thanksgiving and Christmas, some personal time off. But here's the thing. Every week, we're going to record a video, and every week we're going to send that out. If you participate, if you're a part of the 7-people cohort, you're going to have to respond with, yes or no. So that way you are participating in the program and you're going to join the Friday call. And if you join that Friday call, if you cannot join the Friday call, what we will expect from you is to make a short video, about 5 minutes long video that we will play during that call. And that's how you mean by micro learning, that you don't have to really dedicate 90 hours in a week.
Yeah.
Right. 90 hours. Sorry, 90 minutes.
90 minutes.
90 minutes in a week. Because we want you to really research a lot, but we at least want you to commit to say, I can drop a 5 minutes long video describing what it is I've researched and what are some of the outcomes I have. 5 minutes is minimum. So if you can run it for 15 minutes, that means you're getting that good at this, right? The clarity is there, the confidence of communicating for 15 minutes by yourself in front of a camera, just talking to nobody that you don't even know who's listening, right? That's amazing, right? And it has happened before where we have people record and, give us the information on their current research, right? Level of research. And so we're not going to learn alone, right? We're going to discuss, we're going to have listen, we're going to share, we're going to stay open to other people's understanding, because we're going to say, I'm a techie that's work in progress, right?
Yeah.
Masako sent me this one great article that says, from now on, the industry expertise is knowing the technological need in that industry. I was blown away by that title. Literally explains everything I needed to know about what's happening in the current state. Yeah. If you're an industry subject matter expert, your subject matter expertise comes from the technological need of your industry.
Yeah.
Like, you can't say that 15 years ago before cloud showed up, right? Before cloud showed up, everything was finance. Everything was in pen and paper. Literally, even during that website era, everything was still pen and paper. Cloud showed up, every device is everywhere. Every device has that pen and paper in it, just digital, right? So we're talking about, if you have an industry expertise, that means you understand the technological need of your industry.
Right.
And that's what we're going to strive towards. We're going to have that learning from each other, we're going to do check-ins, and we're going to do Friday reflections, right? Those Friday reflections is the key vital understanding of your community of practice, right? You're going to, hopefully you'll attend the program long enough to say, now I can go teach everybody else about it. That's our goal, right? We have to break it down to that level. And then just the last piece I would say is that we're going to play a video, right? Just to drive that point home, right? This video is on point, I would say, because it literally drives everything you need to know about why, as a non-techie, you should know about AI. Because like I said, technology used to be a business problem. Then technology became people problem. Now AI is pushing it to a societal level problem. Because we literally are talking about thousands and hundreds of thousands of people getting behind AI, using AI to save hours and hours in their day. We're literally changing the way society works, right? So we're going to play this video. So Masako and Bryan, if you guys want to share your thoughts while I'm doing this, because I'm going to have a little technical difficulty sharing the screen here.
I had some thoughts until you asked me about my thoughts. No. It goes back to when you said 90 years, right? Or 90 hours. For the person that is afraid, 9 minutes feels like 90 hours, feels like 90 years, because you are paralyzed by thought life. So if you could just get free enough to say, you know what? I deserve 5 minutes to better myself. I deserve 5 minutes to become a better me. Don't I?
Yeah. That's an investment in yourself that you can be thankful for, right? Because a lot of people think that there's other people that knows more about AI than they do. Absolutely false. There's some people that knows way too much about AI that I don't even scratch the surface on AI yet. And I can completely say I'm an AI subject matter expert. But that does not mean I'm a surgeon. It's like kind of like saying, yeah, I'm a doctor, but a student doctor maybe.
I always say doctors practice medicine. You practice AI.
There you go.
I'm not a subject matter expert on AI at all compared to some people.
But you got to practice whatever it is. You have to practice it.
You have to practice it.
You have to practice it. You can't just show up and be upset that you don't know something. You have to practice it.
Yeah.
You got to
it took me 10 years to continue to practice it. And I think the only thing that I've learned in 10 years is that I have to keep continuing practicing it. Like, there's no other way. I'm not going to learn AI overnight. Even in 10 years, I haven't learned AI. I think 10 years ago, we didn't even call it AI. We called it machine learning, right? But, back in those days, AI wasn't a hot topic. So we were just using statistical learning and machine learning to make this AI work like a magic. Today, everybody loves it because of ChatGPT, But this video from a professor in AI will explain a whole lot of what we're trying to do, because this guy breaks it down from his subject matter expertise from Stanford University. Let me go ahead and run it. You guys give me a thumbs up if you hear the audio or not.
University. I've been teaching at Stanford for the last 15 years at the intersection of creativity, innovation, entrepreneurship, and now increasingly artificial intelligence. The topic that I'm most focused on right now is helping non-technical professionals learn to be good collaborators to or with generative AI. And then 2 years ago, myself and my partner at the time, Perry Claybon, wrote a book called Idea Flow, which was the canonical book on idea generation and prototyping. So super proud of that. It was the culmination of a dozen years of leading executive programs and the leadership program and the entrepreneurship program at Stanford. And 1 month after our book came out, ChatGPT came out.
Wow.
To me, the fact that I wrote the canonical book on idea generation just prior to AI is like writing the best book on retail just before the internet. AI is a tool to dramatically augment and amplify our creativity. And the truth is, I didn't know a lot about it when the book came out. So 1 month after my book came out, instead of going on a world book tour, I strapped myself back into the front row as a student and said, I need to be learning about this transformative new technology. So I started taking classes, I started conducting research, I started working with and studying teams inside of organizations using the tool to understand the simple question, how does generative AI impact the individual and the team and the organization's ability to solve problems? You can give an AI a prompt. For example, how should I answer this question? Or you could give an AI the question, I want to ask how I should answer this question. What's the best way of framing that question to an AI? So you see what I did there? I asked AI for how to ask AI my question. But you can use AI to use AI, which is you couldn't use Excel to use Excel. PowerPoint can't teach you how to use PowerPoint. Email can't teach you how to use email. AI, strangely, can teach you how to use itself if you think to ask. Go to your language model of choice and just say the following. Hey, you're an AI expert. I would love your help and a consultation with you to help me figure out where I can best leverage AI in my life. As an AI expert, would you please ask me questions, one question at a time, until you have enough context about my workflows and responsibilities and KPIs and objectives that you could make two obvious recommendations and two non-obvious recommendations for how I could leverage AI in my work.
As a medical student, I wear a lot of hats, from seeing patients to studying for exams, and lately creating study resources for.
You will have one of the most enlightening and illuminating conversations you've ever had, and it's all because of AI's ability to evaluate its own work. What I've seen is non-technical employees are able to do incredible things. Here's one example. The National Park Service called me and asked me if I would conduct a training program for a bunch of backcountry rangers. So they gathered a group of about 60 backcountry rangers and facilities managers into a training session. And I spent a couple of hours over Zoom teaching folks the basics of collaborating with AI. One of the people in that session was a gentleman named Adam Reimer, who works at Glen Canyon National Park. And one of the things I say is you should focus on parts of your work that you dread, parts of your work that you don't enjoy, that you think, I have to do this again. And Adam said, if I have to replace the carpet tiles in the lodge, I have to fill out all of this paperwork. And so to replace a carpet tile will sometimes take 2 or 3 days of paperwork. Then he thought, could AI help me write that paperwork? And in 45 minutes, he built a tool with natural language that saves him 2 days of work every day he makes a statement of work. And then listen to this. Someone got access to that tool and shared it across the other parks. There's about 430 parks in the service. The National Park Service is estimating that the tool that Adam built in 45 minutes is going to save the service 7,000 days of human labor this year. That's the kind of impact that normal professionals can have even without any technical ability, if only they're given very basic foundational training. People are wanting to learn AI and how it can be transformative for their business, but they don't have the basic language. And so while lots of organizations are asking me, how can we work with AI to transform our business? Where I have to start with them is, how do you work with AI? The research I'm familiar with suggests that while on the one hand, AI makes people 25% faster and 12% more work and 40% better quality, it's also true that less than 10% of working professionals are driving meaningful productivity gains from collaboration with AI. To me, there's this enormous gap. I call it the realization gap. We conducted studies both in Europe and in the United States. And what we found is, surprisingly, AI didn't help most people be more creative. In fact, in many cases, the people that we studied, AI made them less creative. And as we started digging into the research, we were surprised and looked at the data. We were confused because you think AI should make people more creative, not less. And we studied the underperformers and then we studied the outperformers. And what we found is the outperformers had a fundamentally different orientation towards AI than the underperformers did. Whereas the underperformers treated AI like a tool, the outperformers treated AI like a teammate. And shifting your orientation from tool to teammate changes everything about the kinds of outcomes that you can achieve working with generative AI. A simple.
Yeah. You guys know, you guys get the point now, right? Because we're trying to change that mindset, right? I think that once you shift that with few foundational level knowledge, all of a sudden you're coming to a conclusion that previously you would say, you know, I didn't realize that. But that realization gap, once we fill it, I don't think you can go back. The cat is out of the bag. You're going to be like, man, we really need AI for everybody in our team, not just me, but everybody in our team.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it at that. I think we've covered enough for today. It's been a long day, but we are kicking off. We're kicking off PWN-D-AI AI. And next month, we're going to kick off business impact analysis of AI, right? And then we're going to do digital twin in January. Exciting stuff. You know, we're going to kick it off too.
I can't wait for digital twin, man. Let me tell you. I remember when we first met many moons ago, and you were like, "Hey, Bryan, have you ever heard of digital twin?" I was like, "What's digital twin?" And Asif and I started uncovering the layers of a digital twin. I'm just like, holy cow.
Holy cow. Holy
Everybody in the world needs a digital twin. So I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, that one, Bryan, we got a campaign on filling that roles because we don't have quite the 7 people yet. And it's surprising. Well, not that surprising because people don't know anything about digital twin. They know about AI. But once they find out about digital twin, they're gonna say, what's AI? I just need a digital twin.
Yeah. Digital twin is gonna change and revolutionize cybersecurity as we know. It's really going to impact cybersecurity, and not in a bad way, but it's going to be in a positive way. And companies are already starting to do it. Some companies are already using a digital twin.
Oh yeah, we talked about at the beginning of the show, Bryan. We talked about NVIDIA, $5 trillion company, all digital twin. Apple, don't call it that, but all digital twin.
Right.
Anybody that you think of, metaverse, Web 3.0, Web 3, cryptocurrency, blockchain, digital twin.
Yep.
Digital twin.
Yep.
You know, again, it gets me so excited. But again, I understand why people haven't signed up for it yet. But hopefully after this video and seeing our excitement about digital twin, people are going to flock in and say, yeah, I want to be part of that seven-man cohort. So we're going to get started, man. Next, once this video goes out to people, we're going to record videos every week, and people are going to learn from this video. If anybody wants to watch those videos without being part of the cohort, it's going to be on YouTube Live. And you know, if you want for us to cover a specific topic, you can give a shout out on the videos, and we'll go make that part of the curriculum. Right? We're going to talk.
Yeah, give them, because the III podcast, give them that. And if they want to write in,
yes,
to request certain projects that maybe we could put on our list for, you know, down the road.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, we don't have a shortage of project. We have shortage of personalized projects. So if you have a project that is personal to you, that you want to personalize it, you want to understand it better for yourself, we are here for that.
People change when it's personal. It's like we have our projects, but you know, people something, you know, I always say, I want to know what keeps you up at night.
Yeah, right. Everybody got a problem. I got Jones's problem. My neighbor Jones, right? I'm not messing with Joneses. All right, guys. Let me go ahead and end the stream here. But stick around for next episode of AI. Can't wait to get it out to the universe, and looking forward to the next week and your questions that are coming with it. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah.
Good night, y'all. We're out.
Good night. Good night, everyone.
Be well.
Be well.